you don't want to hear a couple different variations of?
I already have an agent.
You already have an agent. Okay, cool. That's definitely one that is one of the top.
Bring me a buyer.
Eric.
I want to do it on my own.
I'll pay you a commission.
That's not. Very good product.
Absolutely.
And
all right, so already have agent.
bring a buyer.
Yeah.
Use a dark color again.
Bring a buyer.
The market's good, I can do it myself.
Okay, I can do it myself.
I've sold 17 houses already.
You're the 100th one to call
My
me.
wife doesn't want me to hire an agent. There's a lot of white problems this week.
Yeah. All right. I heard commission. What else?
Another one we just got recently, the other agent bashing the other agents.
How
I
do you
won't
mean?
name any names. Mark Captain talks smack about every other agent. He asked the seller, he's like, so what other agents are you interviewing? And then he tells them, and then he just starts bashing.
Oh, okay, so agent bashing,
Agent
like
bashing,
the, okay,
yeah.
gotcha. That's real mature.
Yeah, and then his son called me today trying to feel me out.
Discount brokers.
Well, we want to show, I'm like, we'll go schedule to show, go show.
Discount brokers.
Discount brokers.
Fees, yeah, fees.
He's got a couple good pictures of some discount brokers that are now RIP.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of shops in Scottsdale that have shut down in the past few months.
Help yourself.
Red
Your
one.
cell
Yep.
turned into a vape shop.
I see that picture of
I heard that stuff on the rise.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else?
Just testing the market.
Just testing the market. Okay, so that's going to fall into a whole other heap of problems.
I listed on Make Me Move, that didn't mean that I wanted to sell it yet.
Zero coverage.
All right. Anything else? I mean, this is all pretty much, I mean, this is about 90% of the objections that we always get, right? Okay.
How about every agent that calls tells me the same thing you just told me?
Or you're the 100th one to call.
Separate yourself.
I don't want to talk to an agent.
Did you read the ad? It says no agents.
Yeah. We have the buyer.
I don't like talking to most agents either. But
Yeah, I don't like, I hate realtors.
I'm gonna use that.
I actually kind of like
Yeah.
it.
It's like, you don't
Neither
like talking to
do
real
I,
estate
so
agents? You know what?
that-
Neither do I. And I am
Take that
one.
off your
You
plate.
know? No, seriously, that's a great icebreaker. That's a
You use
great
it all
way
the
to
time.
disarm a hostile, a hostile prospect. Absolutely. Have fun with them. All right, so I'm gonna let seniority go first here. Which one of these do you want to tackle and just kind of talk on a little bit?
First of all, I'd just like to go over a little bit of background before we handle this. I guess what I'd like to just start with is, first of all, thank you for being here. There's a lot of people that's committed to being here that aren't. So I think you've all separated yourself just by showing up. You've separated yourself and put yourself into like the top 10% of agents or whatever that number is. You are elevated just for showing up. I have people that didn't want to drive from Tempe 12 minutes. Do one in Tempe next month. Okay. So those are the type of people that if the market keeps shifting like it is, they're not going to be in real estate much longer anyway. So I want to just thank you all for being here and just go into a little bit of background about how I see FSBOs and what I think is a good way to make yourself set yourself apart from everything else. Like you said, there's 100 agents have already called me, and that's true. They are getting a lot of calls, but I think the one thing that I've learned, I've been taught by Mike Ferry, Kevin Ward, Greg Haig, all kinds of great people in this industry, And the one thing that I've learned that's helped me the most is the way you differentiate yourself from the other 100 agents that are calling is that you sell their motivation. You sell their motivation. So I ask 3 questions, and there's scripts. Tom Ferry's got scripts, Keller Williams got scripts, Mike Ferry's got scripts. And what I found is they're all 10, 12, 14 questions long. And it's hard to get through all of them without sounding salesy, no matter how good you are. When you get into the bottom questions, they're going to get another phone call that rings, or their kid's going to be screaming in the other room, and it's going to be tough for you to capture someone in the middle of their day and get through 14 questions. So what I do is I shortened everything. I ask 3 basic questions to determine their motivation, and then I present myself and my services as a way for them to get that motivation. So just real quick, I'll go over the 3 questions. 3 questions are, if you sold this home, where would you go next? And then you act excited about where that is. So even if it's Omaha or Detroit in the winter, someone's moving from Scottsdale to Detroit, I act like that's a good idea. Like, oh wow, Detroit, that's cool. Let's take you to Detroit in January from Scottsdale. And then they'll say something like, oh, you know, my family's there, I'm having a baby, and I just want to raise my kid with Midwest values, so I'm going to move back to Detroit. Like, oh, that's awesome, good for you, congratulations, and it's going to be so great for your kid, for your baby to grow up in the Midwest. And I say, how soon would you like to be in Detroit? Oh, just as soon as this home sells. And so then I know their motivation, I know where they're going, I know why, and I know when they want to be there. And if you know those 3, you can sell to that. Every other agent is telling them to set an appointment, and I'm on the team that sold 1,000 houses, and you know we have 1,000 buyers, we spend all this money on online leads, and everyone's telling them all this stuff. But the way it was explained to me is no one wants to go to the dentist, but they do want their tooth to stop hurting. They do want to have a pretty smile, right? But dentists don't advertise their drill on the billboard, right? You don't see the big picks and pokey things. No, they have the pretty chick with the nice white smile on the billboard, and they sell that. They don't tell you to come in and I have this $6,000 drill that's got really sharp bits and it's going to drill a hole in your tooth. They don't talk about that at all. They talk about, we're going to make your tooth feel better. And that's the approach that I like to take is, too many agents use the tool. They want to sell the drill. List your house with me is the drill. Right? When you say list your house, like you said, nobody wants to work with an agent. That's because nobody wants to go to the dentist. Nobody wants the drill. But they do want to go to Detroit so that their kid can grow up but with their parents and have all the support of their family. So if you take it from that and you say, hey, if I can help you get to Detroit to raise your baby with your family, and I could net you about the same amount of money or maybe even more, would that be something you'd be open to discussing? And then that's how you're going to get a yes when all the other 100 people are getting hung up on. Because the other 100 people are just reading a script that they've probably just learned. And they're trying to get through all the questions, and they don't really care about the motivation. But if you do, and you can reach them and you can do that, that's how you're going to separate yourself.
So at that point, you got a yes to come over and look. What do you take?
What do I what?
What do you take to the appointment?
I take a listing agreement all filled out that I've signed. It's got the address on it. It's got everything. Typically, lately I've been leaving the price blank because I want to see the house. Most of these houses are on Zillow. I can see the pictures and get a good idea of what they look like and how remodeled or updated they are. But I want to go in, I want to see the view. I want to see, does it back to Shea? or does it back to whatever busy street? Or, are there power lines back there? Or is there a view? Is there an awesome view of the mountains? Is it on some kind of golf course or lake or something? Because that will make the price go way up or way down. Does it smell? You can't tell these things from pictures. So I leave the price blank, but I bring all the forms. I bring the ER, I bring the agency, I have a list of.
You bring a blank copy of the spuds?
I do not bring blank spuds.
Yeah.
I have a transaction coordinator and I have her send that later. Because what I want to do is I want to get in and out of the house as soon as possible. So I want the ER signed and the agency signed, and then I'll leave. And the rest of the stuff can take care of
The
itself.
input form you don't worry about it that time.
Scott, you've got a lot of coaches out there that are saying, just get into the house. Just tell them, you know, I'm the local expert, I want to see the home, all of that. Then you get there and you start talking to them about being a listing agent when you kind of backdoored your way in, according to some of these coaches. To me, that's a little deceptive.
I agree.
So how do you approach that? You just go straight at it and say, look, I want to see the home, and
I just keep it at their motivation, right? And I say, if I can help you get there, and if their motivation is strong enough, they'll be open to it. So it honestly doesn't even come to, I'm gonna preview your house, I might have a buyer, you know? It's not really like that, because I'm framing it as, if I could help you get to where you wanna go, would you be open to it? And they're gonna say yes, if they're really motivated. And so I'm not framing it that I'm bringing a buyer or whatever, I'm framing it that I'm gonna come there and I'm gonna help you get what you want in the time you want at a number that works. And so I'm not even going there saying I have buyers when I don't, and I'm not shoving a list, I'm gonna bring a contract either. I'm just framing it as, I'm gonna get you what you want. Can I help you get what you want?
So, and just to kind of piggyback on that a little bit, you know, one thing, you know, talking about the motivation is, it doesn't matter how good your skills are. You know, you can have every dialogue internalized, you can have every objection handled to where you're just volleying them. If they're an unmotivated seller, you're wasting your time. You know, and so that's one of the largest pre-qualifiers is, you know, like Scott was saying, you know, when plus where plus why equals close. If you don't have one of those three pieces of the puzzle, you don't have enough foundation to ask for the appointment. If you do, you're just wasting your time and wasting their time. In regards to the whole, you know, hey, I have a buyer, whatever, bait and switch, you lose all credibility. You know, so again, it's just something that's wasting their time. Like we're busy, guys. Nobody in this room is an agent that does 1, 2, 3 deals a year, right? So we need to use the best use of our time. We need to work with people who are motivated and want to work with us. You know, that's a very big part of the pre-qualification process is you need to protect your time, you know, and make sure that you're not off ambulance chasing FSBOs all over the valley that have no intent to list with you.
So I'm going to just ask you to, you know, credibility. You guys both know I'm still fairly new to this whole thing. How many FSBOs have you converted, let's just say, in the last year?
I meant to look at that. I'd say I've closed around 20 of them just in the past 12 months. That's a guess.
Yeah.
How many
He
appointments?
rarely works with buyers, he is a lister.
Yeah,
And
I have
he does
a
his
buyer's agent
business
that I
from
give a lot of my
FSBOs.
buyer stuff to, and I try to do it all.
FSBOs are listings, that's why.
I mean, he's the master.
Yeah.
He is.
Were you gonna say something?
What was your conversion rate on your appointments?
With FSBOs, I find it's really easy to set an appointment. When you go after their motivation, you're good. I had a guy sitting with me that was listening to the call. I made 7 contacts and set 7 appointments. Like, it's pretty easy to set a FSBO appointment, but then it's like, oh crap, I gotta go. You know, one's in North Scottsdale, the other one's in South Chandler, one's in, you know, I'm like, crap, okay, I can't even go to all these. So that's when I start to pre-qual a little bit more and talk to them about, okay, you know, are you talking to any other agents? How much you owe on the home, ballpark figure, and I'm getting more numbers before I drive. If I'm gonna drive more than half an hour, especially I hate traffic. So if I'm gonna have to be on the 101 at 4:30 or 5 in the evening, I'm like, okay. They're gonna be really pre-qualified so that I don't waste my time and mileage and gas and frustration. So, yes.
So to back up to the beginning of your day, you pull your FSBOs from Zillow.
Right.
And then what does your calendar look like for that day? Do you start calling at a certain time in the morning? Are you the first day that they hit the market that you call?
I like to reach them first, yes.
And then do you schedule them in the afternoon of that same day, or?
I'll look, if I don't have, I'll be constantly checking Zillow throughout the day, morning, afternoon, evening, and constantly. I'll kind of recognize the first picture of the house and be like, oh, that one with the palm tree in Scottsdale I called, that's the last one I called. And when you click newest on Zillow, it's not exact, but it'll do a pretty good job of categorizing by time that they're listed. So
Okay.
whenever there's a new picture, I'm like, oh, that one's got a cactus. The palm tree, oh, I didn't call them yet. So
Okay.
call
Okay.
them.
So if he tells you he's just interviewing realtors right now,
Mhm. It depends on his motivation, right? So I said, great. So if you sold this home, where are you going next? Oh wow, Detroit. Cool. And it's the same thing.
Do you try to go out that very same day though that you called them?
It depends on my schedule and theirs, but oftentimes, yeah, it'll be the same day. And oftentimes, it'll be like 9 o'clock and I'll already have like 3 appointments set that day.
Right.
Oh, okay. Now what do I do?
I'm gonna do yours.
So any other questions?
So I appreciate you talking to your experience.
Yeah. Do you want to do a role play back and forth?
Yeah,
maybe?
absolutely.
So, okay. This is what I do. And like I said, I've had scripts and great trainers, and everyone says, do the script word for word. Every coach I've had says that. And sorry, but after tens of thousands of calls and contacts in the real world today, people are busy. And when you catch someone on the phone, you need them right then and there in that point in their life. And you don't know, did they just get out of the shower? They got kids running around. Like you're capturing them and you're taking up valuable time in their day. And so what I want to do is I want to find out what I need to find out and set an appointment and let them get off the phone as soon as possible. And if I need to find out more before I go to the appointment, I will. But I don't want to go through all 14 questions on the script. Sorry. It doesn't work as well in 2018 as it did in 1998. I'm distracted. My phone's beeping. I'm getting text messages while I'm talking to them. I don't have time, and I'm the one making the phone calls at my time. So if you want to be the seller, and I'll
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So what I always try to stand up.
Yes.
When you're on the phone, your energy matters. So like when I'm talking to you, I can make eye contact with all of you. You can see me. I can move around. You get more senses of me when I'm here, right? But when you're on the phone, all you have is sound, right? So all you have is sound to work with. But what you can do with that is you can put energy into the phone to help yourself help set yourself apart from the other 100 people that are calling. So I stand up. I used to have scripts in front of me, but now I pretty much know it. So I don't have the scripts in front of me. I have a mirror.
I was just
Trying
about
to
to say, do
smile.
you still have your mirror?
Yep, I have a mirror. I'm trying to smile. People can hear a smile on the phone. It sounds cheesy,
Absolutely.
but they can. So if you're standing up and you're smiling, you're going to be better than the other agents. There's call centers right down the road here with 24 agents that are sitting in little tiny cubicles that are calling, bent over, hunched over a keyboard with a headset on. And you will sound 100 times better than they do just by standing up and smiling. So, and that's the other thing I always remember is the 100 other agents that are calling, their skills are not good. Yeah, I don't want to say suck, but yeah, they're not as skilled as you could be. If you just put in a little bit of effort in role playing and practicing this and focusing on their motivation, you will set yourself. The competition is so crappy that it's not hard to be in the top.
Now I'm really depressed.
It's not that hard to be in the top 3% of agents in Arizona at calling FSBOs or expires because nobody wants to put in the effort to do it. So.
Well, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's the difference of a degree. If you've got 75 agents out there that are regurgitating the same script, hi, I'm calling about your house for sale by owner. Is this the owner? Then if you are, if you have that voice inflection, if you're smiling on the phone, if you're standing up, if your energy's great, that in and of itself is going to differentiate you into that, into that 5%. And then once you can internalize the scripts and the dialogues, and it's not just reading a script, it's actually, handling the objections, providing the value. Once you've internalized that dialogue, it's like fish in a barrel. Because you've instantly gotten tremendously better than anybody else who's out there calling. That's how this guy can, call somebody, talk to 35 agents today. Who gets the appointment? Scott Marlow. A, because he actually cares, and B, because he has mastered this craft. It's not one of those things that you just, you wake up one night and you're a FSBO master,
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is mindset too. Like I really do want to help them, and I want to help everybody. I'm a nice guy. I want everybody to get what they want or whatever. But I'm not competitive that I want to beat everybody else or whatever, but I'm competitive in that I want to save this for sale by owner from listing with some crappy agent, right? So that's my biggest motivation and my biggest competition is save these people from some crappy agent, because they do want to be in Detroit and they do want to raise their baby, and they, you know, and especially now that the market's kind of not going straight up, if they screw up and list with the wrong agent for 3 to 6 months and interest rates keep going up, and then this thing expires in March or April, you know, I could probably relist it then, but it's not going to be at the same price. It's going to be 25 grand less or something. And that's 25 grand less than this mom is taking to Detroit to raise her baby and all this stuff. It's like, man, there's a lot of writing on this, and that's my motivation, and that's my mindset when I'm calling is I need to save these people from getting with a crappy agent.
Well, and I mean, not even just, you know, saving them from, you know, from a crappy agent, but, you know, saving them from themselves. You know, just because you sold a house by your own in 1997 in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, doesn't, you know, qualify you to be able to maximize selling a property in today's market. You know, I mean, look at how many thousands of dollars get left on the table through negotiations, through the Binzer period, you know, all these other things. Like, is a guy who works at GoDaddy 50 hours a week and trying to sell his house on his own, you know, is he going to be able to negotiate those things? Does he understand, you know, the RESPA policies and all these other ins and outs and nuances? You know, I mean, unfortunately, we've gotten that negative stigma that, you know, we're just overpaid and we don't do our job. You know, but for sale by owners legitimately do not realize the thousands and thousands of dollars that they can leave on the table just because they're going to shoot from the hip because they think they've got it figured out. You know, so it's saving the owners and the sellers from what they don't even know is going to be a huge potential pitfall in the transaction. You know, so not only protecting them from agents, but ultimately protecting them from themselves. You know.
Well, I think with the market the last 3, 4, or 5 years or whatever, getting 6 offers on a home that, I mean, they could sell it on their own.
They absolutely
But now
could.
they
So
can't.
the one
But now
question
they
that I
use
ask,
more.
you know what, Mr. Seller, I absolutely believe that you could sell this house on your own. The only question is, how much could you sell it for through what you can do versus how much I could sell it for through what I could do? Oftentimes, we can get the house sold for even more money. We can put more money in your pocket even after paying our commission.
Because I know to say, well, I lowered my price as a for sale by owner $25,000 because that way I'm not paying commission. Why'd you just do that? You're still paying a commission.
Right.
Yeah.
And our market is changing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
There's
it's
no
shifting
question.
dramatically.
Yeah, so they need us.
Yeah,
You know, but-
I agree 100%.
So, we'll do the role play here real quick, but I just want to go back to mindset. Like before I'm starting to role play, I'm just thinking, okay, I'm gonna help these people today. I'm gonna help these people get what they want. I'm gonna help them get moved to Detroit. I'm gonna help them go wherever they want to go. If they need to downsize, upsize, I'm gonna help these people. And these are the thoughts I'm going, and then I'm dialing, ring, ring, ring. So and then it's ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, I'm calling about the home for sale by owner. Is this the owner?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Scott Marlow. I'm a local real estate agent in the area. And I was just wondering, how can I help you?
Well, Scott, you know what? If you can bring us a buyer, we're paying a 2% co-broke to any agent that's going to bring us a buyer. But man, we're not going to list the property.
Okay, great. So that's great. So you are willing to pay a commission to an agent that brings you a buyer then?
Yeah. We'll pay a buyer's agent. We just don't want to work with a listing agent.
Okay, I can understand that. Now tell me, if you were to sell this home, where would you go next?
Well, we're actually planning on moving to Denver.
Denver, awesome. Wow. What's taking you to Denver?
Well, I'm a hospitality consultant. I'm going up there to run a new resort up there.
Good for you. Is that a big promotion for you?
Yeah,
Awesome.
pretty big deal.
Congratulations. So man, you're going to Denver, you got a job promotion. How soon do you want to be in Denver?
So new position starts on January 30th, and
Okay.
so, you know, realistically, I'd love to have the house sold and be moved up there by then. If
All right.
not, then I'm just gonna have to go up and, you know, stay like an extended stay or something.
I understand. Okay, awesome. Congratulations. So let me ask you, if I could get you moved to Denver so that you could start this job and I could get you there with about the same amount of money in your pocket even after you paid a commission, would that be something you'd be open to discussing?
You know, man, I appreciate the offer, and I've actually had a handful of agents that have called me and said the exact same thing. You know, it's just the market's so strong right now, and you know, the inventory is low. I really think that I'm going to be able to get this thing sold on my own and just save the commission, you know?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely think that you can sell the home on your own. And I'm sure you see in your neighborhood, homes tend to sell in a range, right? There's kind of the high end of the range and the low end of the range that sell in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, what I've seen is the homes that typically sell for sale by owner, they sell in the lower end of that range. And by listing with a professional real estate agent like myself, we can get you the top of that range. And the difference is going to be way more than the commission that you're going to pay. So if we could actually get you a top of the market offer, as opposed to you selling it on your own at the bottom of the market, or not at the bottom, but at the bottom of the range of the market, would that be something you'd be open to?
I mean, it'd probably be something that we'd be open to eventually. It
Okay.
just, you know, I mean, this is a $450,000 house, and that's a big chunk of commission, you know.
It is.
And I just honestly, man, I mean, you know, living here in Paradise Valley, I think that we're going to be able to, you know, we'll be able to sell it pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah, I can totally appreciate you want to try it on your own. Now, one of the things that I do differently than most agents is I write into our listing contract, you can continue to sell it for sale by owner while you have it listed with me. And meanwhile, at the same time, I'll be selling it for a top of the market range, but you have it sold, you know, listed at the bottom of that range. And that way we're both working at the same time. Either way, we're gonna get your home sold, and we're going to get you to Denver so you can start that new job with as much money in your pocket. Isn't that the most important thing?
Yeah, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I have to be up there as soon as I can. So,
You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to come out, just take a look at your home. It'll only take about 15 minutes to do that. I'll give you an idea of what, not only what it's going to list for, but what's going to sell for, and the bottom line number that you're going to get moved to Denver with in your pocket. It'll only take about 15 minutes to do that. I have some time today at 4, or would tomorrow at 4 be better for you?
you know what, probably tomorrow at 4. I'm pretty tied up today,
Tomorrow at
so.
4? Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll put you down here for tomorrow at 4. And once again, my name's Scott Marlow, and I'm with eXp Realty. And I look forward to meeting you and seeing the home tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
All right, Scott, sounds good. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So a couple of really cool things there is, I mean, obviously I didn't just, you know, berate him like a lot of FSBOs, but I had some, you know, some pretty common objections that we all hear. You know, a couple of key takeaways. He didn't berate them with just a bunch of questions. He's not interrogating them with a 14, 15, 16 point script. 3 questions, guys. Where are you going? Oh, that's awesome, man. How soon do you need to be there? What's taking you there? You answer those 3 questions, you have an appointment, for the most part, you know? And it's conversational. It wasn't combative. He didn't bash any other agents. He didn't say, oh, well, you know, you're stupid for selling it for sale by owner. I can get you so much more money. He enlightened this guy on the opportunities and the possibilities that he just simply did not know were out there, right? That's all you're doing. You're advocating for your clients. You're educating. And when you truly, like this guy to the core of his being, truly believes that every phone call he's making is saving a seller. And if you don't buy it, you sure as hell can't sell it. You know, so it all goes back to that mindset that he was talking about. Like if you don't truly believe that every time you pick up the phone to call it for sale by owner, that you're bringing them value, that's why people can't do it. That's why people get call reluctance. You know, so that was, yeah, I mean, that right there was textbook. I mean, how could you say no to that value proposition, right?
I think there's a lot of agents out there that get a script, or that even if you do the 3 questions, you need to act like you care, and you need to make it a conversation. A lot of people will be like, where are you going if you sell this home? If you ask it like that, it's not going to work. And then if they say Detroit, and you say, what's taking you to Detroit? Then it seems like an interrogation, right? It's like, where were you on Thursday at midnight? Right? But I'm saying, oh wow, Detroit, that's cool. What's taking you to Detroit? And that, when you do it like that, people will answer you more often. It's like if Dawn told me, hey Scott, I got a new car. You got a new car? What'd you get? You know, I got a, you know, whatever, a BMW. Oh wow, which BMW? I got the 3 Series. Oh, the 3 Series, awesome. What color? And that's the way a conversation goes, right? And that's the way I try to make it. But I think there's a lot. Yeah.
What about if they're selling it because of a bad reason like divorce or a death?
That's great.
That's awesome. So in a situation like that, obviously mirror and match. You know, you empathize with the situation. But that is a huge motivation. Dad died, we got to sell the house. And I totally understand what you're going through. It's an absolute trying time in your life. Look, I want to be here to be a resource for you in any way possible so we can get this thing buttoned up and close this chapter and get you moved forward. Or, any variation of that, but just mirror and match, empathize, provide value to the specific situation. And they're like, oh, okay, so this guy doesn't just want to list my house, he wants to help me overcome this pitfall in my life. So it's all about how you position it.
I'd say, oh man, Eric, I'm so sorry to hear that. Gosh, that's terrible. I would love to do anything I could to help relieve you of this burden of this house. If I could help take the weight off of you and your family and get this thing sold quickly and easily, would that be something you'd be open to discussing? Yes.
Sure. I have one I'm dealing with like that right now, who specifically is like, dude, I don't want to sell the house. I'm going to drag her around for as long as I can. And I'm just like, oh, now we know why you're getting divorced.
Yeah.
So it comes back to what you said earlier today about know when to cut bait.
Absolutely.
And with deaths, there's oftentimes many family members that are
Yeah, that
involved.
can get
Even
tough.
with divorce, there's two that usually want different things, so, yeah.
Now, you had said you write in something that you can still do it for sell by owner at the same time, but what does that sound like and where do you write it?
It's on the blank lines of the contract toward the end. It's a bunch of legalese. I can send it to you if you
Okay.
like. But it essentially says, if the seller finds their own buyer, it's not represented by a realtor, I will complete and close the transaction for a flat fee of whatever dollar amount you want. You can say $1,000, $100, whatever dollar amount you want. And what I do then is I hire my transaction coordinator to help them. I've taken over 100 listings with that verbiage in it. Guess how many FSBOs have sold their own house?
None.
Zero.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing that verbiage?
Yeah, I don't have it on me. It's legally. I'll get the sign-in sheet.
I've got
And,
it.
okay.
I've got it on my laptop.
Okay. Yeah,
And
if
it's
you
an
want.
ER that you do.
Yeah.
It's a 6% ER with me.
With that verbiage on
Yep.
the eight.
Yeah. Yep.
I'd like to see.
And if I have to, I try to get 6 every time, but if I can walk out of there with the listing at 5, then I do it all day
Right.
long, because I'd rather have it at 5 than not at all.
Right. And you do 3 to the buyer? and
Yeah.
You just take the hit.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to do.
Any other questions on that? Yeah?
I was gonna ask, do you track who you call and how many times that you've called them, and do you leave a voicemail?
I should track it, I don't. I'm kind of spoiled, or I don't know if I'm spoiled or dumb or letting money fall through the cracks. I pretty much only call the new FSBOs, and there's like 10 a day in my area, in my price range. And I can set like 3 appointments with those new ones every day. And the ones that don't, I just don't have time. I'm just calling the new ones every day. And every once in a while, one will call me back, or there'll be something they said in the conversation, and I'll be like, oh yeah, remember that one? And they were moving to this place or whatever, or they got the job in Wisconsin as a professor, or whatever happened to them. And I'll go back to them, but it's just my brain like randomly thinking of them. Not using any computerized thing, I'm writing things. I don't want a big CRM in front of me where I'm typing things in as I'm talking to them, because I want my focus to be on their conversation. So I have a notepad and I'll write down Detroit, having a baby, moving the first of the year, and that's what I'm writing down. But I don't want conversion and something up here and me like typing things in, because that's taking me away from the conversation, and it's detaching me from them, and that's gonna make my results crappy. And I also wanted to say, once you know your motivation, yes, you use that to close them for the appointment, and then while you're at the appointment, it's about getting her to Detroit to see her baby, right? It still is. And then when she lists the house, if we're not getting any showings and we need a price reduction, it's, I really want to get you to Detroit so you can raise your baby with your family. We're going to need to make an adjustment on the price and come down $10,000. And then it's like, okay, it's going to get me there. And then we would get the offer, and the inspection comes in, and they want, $1,000 worth of stuff, and she's like, I don't want to pay it. I'm like, I understand. I want to get you to Detroit.
Yeah.
So you use it from the appointment all the way until it's closed. You use the motivation.
Yeah, you always tie back to the motivation from, like I said, from the first call to the close of escrow. Anytime, the seller starts getting a little squirrely, you can always tie him back down with that motivation. And should be tying everything back to that motivation. So that way they truly realize, hey, like, I know you don't want to have to replace the roof or whatever, but if we don't, they're going to walk away. And how does that serve us getting you to Detroit?
So you go to the appointment, you talk to them about the motivation, you leave them with ER if they don't sign at that time?
If you walk out the door without the listing sign, your
Not gonna
chances
get
of
a chance
getting
to
it
go
go
less than an
way,
hour.
way, way
And then do you do any follow-ups after that?
Yes, on those I'll follow up after that. If they're really motivated and I thought the appointment went well and I connected with them, I will follow up with those, yes.
Okay.
But,
I got a question.
yeah.
We have a FSBO that we just listed, and he's owned the house for 20 years. This was his mother's house, she died. And so he wants to sell it because he doesn't like the memory, but then he doesn't care, he's not motivated to sell it. The only reason he wants to sell it is because his mom died.
Right.
But he doesn't want to sell it unless he gets his price. Well, his house isn't worth his price.
Yeah.
And I don't know, every offer we brought to him, he's like, nope, that's not my number. Nope, that's not my number.
6 months ago, when the market was good, I would have held on to that listing. Now, with the way the market's going, it's time to have a conversation with them and be like, hey, this, right now you're the highest bidder for your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that line. No, so at the end of the day, it's just playing that indifference card. I mean, you have enough business that, like, if you don't sell this guy's house, it doesn't mean your kids aren't going to eat, right, David?
Right.
So just sit him down, and I mean, sometimes you just have to have that come to Jesus moment with sellers. Like, look, man, I know that you want to sell it for X. Hell, I want to sell it for X. We all make more money.
That's what we tell them.
But the one thing that I tell them when they're overpriced is like, look, if we continue to keep the house on the market for this, the only guy who's getting paid is the guy I paid to come out and take the pictures.
That's it.
So I mean, if you can't help them, then you have to be honest with them and let them make the decision if they want to walk down that path unguided or not. But you can't waste your time, with somebody who's not willing to help themselves.
I knew that. Thanks for the
Especially
reinforcement.
as the market continues to shift.
I knew you knew that.
It's going to be more and more important to make sure that you have motivated sellers as the market starts to
Absolutely.
shift. You get out there and you drove, half hour to Phoenix or whatever to meet somebody. You want to walk out there with it signed, but in this market, you have to really think, okay, is it going to sell at this price? Or do they have room to come down, and will they come down? But the days of, 2 years ago, if there was a $250,000 FSBO around Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, it was $250, I could just list it for $269, add the 6% commission, and it would still sell in a week, right?
Mhm.
That's not happening anymore, even in that price range, much less the 500,000 to 700,000 and up.
You drive your window and the pictures are fake on Zillow and the hoarders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go through some of these objections?
Yeah.
All right. I'll just go to, I already have an agent. I like that one. A lot, and this also goes with, I think, my mother-in-law's an agent. I have a friend in the business.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's usually what it is. There's some sort of connection. I used to work with a guy at my old job, and he got his real estate license, so I'm gonna list it with him. There's usually some sort of connection. It's not that they were wowed by someone that came to visit them before you. It's, I already have an agent. So what I would say, I can totally appreciate that. And I mean, before you go to sell this $450,000 asset, don't you think it's worth at least 15 minutes of your time to just at least get a second opinion before you get tied up in a 6-month contract on a $450,000 asset? And I drag it out, 400. I say every decimal of what they have it listed on Zillow. If they have it with $321, I'll say $321. So you stretch it out so it seems like a lot, and you can usually talk them into, it'll only take about 15 minutes. Wouldn't it be worth it for a second opinion? Yes.
And you you really want to be sitting across the dining room table from your cousin at Thanksgiving,
Right.
knowing that they caused you to take a $10,000 price reduction?
Yeah, and I mean, millions of different variations you can use on that one. Is like, do you really want your mother-in-law to know the ins and the outs of your financial situation throughout this transaction? I know that your good buddy just got his real estate license, but let me ask you this. What's more important to you? Maximizing every penny of this $500,000 investment, or throwing your buddy a bone? Because if you want to just throw your buddy a bone, and I use this one all the time for newer agents or friend in the business, whatever, if they're not an experienced agent. You know what? I understand you want to take care of the people that take care of you. I'm all about that. I'm more than willing to give your friend who just got their real estate license a month ago, I'm willing to give them a 10 to 15% referral fee just to make sure that they're taken care of and they can put bread on the table for their family, to allow me to collaborate with you and get this thing done. And if they want to sit in on the transaction and learn a little bit more about it, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to be a resource. But I don't want you to lose anything and leave anything on the table because your friend may not have the experience, especially because that might matriculate into your personal life. And I would hate for you to tarnish that relationship. I'm sure you can appreciate that, right? Done.
That was awesome.
One we've used where we try to determine whether or not the person that they know is part-time, and then ask them if they would go to a part-time dentist. And
Love
it's a
it.
really good
Love
laugh, but it really drives
Hey,
them
you know what?
home.
My cardiologist only works 15
Exactly.
hours a week. He's about to slice me open, man. I am excited about it.
Yes.
No.
Got that 2-for-1 deal on Groupon.
Yeah, right?
No, I'll sell it myself, I'll do it myself. That's kind of the thing I said,
The range.
we can both work at the same time. You can continue to sell it yourself while we have it listed. We'll write a listing agreement that you can continue to sell it yourself. If you find your own buyer, you either owe me nothing, or we'll do all the paperwork for you and get it closed for a small fee. And that fee, you can make it up whatever you want. $1,000, $500, $100, free, whatever you want, but I don't know.
Yeah, and that's
100,
just another
over
value
100
prop.
listings, nobody's ever sold it themselves.
No. And that's just another value proposition to make it risk-free for the seller. I mean, those of you who have any familiarity with traditional sales, you always want to make something risk-free, low barrier of entry, whatever. So that's great. And like Scott said, it's never happened because it sounds great up front, and then all of a sudden, Scott's coming in, he's got his professional photographer, there's a drone flying around taking video. All of a sudden, there's Facebook posts everywhere, and the seller's like, well, shit, I can't do any of this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let the pro handle it. And then they just get out of the way and let you handle your business.
Yeah.
So it gives you an in to get your foot in the door, and as long as you're providing the value proposition that you told them at the listing appointment, it's game over.
Yeah.
Like, they know what they don't know, and they know that they have a veteran in their corner that's going to have their best interest in mind. So they go back to living their life. One thing I always say is like, I'm pretty sure that if you wanted to sell real estate, you probably would have went up, paid the $400, got your license and hung it home smart or something. But obviously you've got bigger things that you want to do in your life. Let me take this burden off you. Go back to living your life and doing the things that you love to do. Right?
This thing about the spouse. One thing I wanted to go in at the beginning is the difference between an objection and a condition. Right?
Yes.
So sometimes there's a condition. An objection is a question in the mind of the prospect that is unanswered, but it can be answered. A condition is a statement of fact you can do nothing about. So oftentimes the spouse one can be a condition.
Yes.
Right? So like my spouse, whatever. We're waiting for my spouse to get a job in Dallas, or we're not gonna move. Something like that. That you can't do anything about them getting a job in Dallas. But if it's something like my spouse doesn't want to use a realtor, my spouse thinks we can sell it ourselves, then that's something you can overcome with, you can list it for sale by owner while you have it listed with me, all that type of stuff.
Matt always uses the famous line, "Sir, I'll let you drive in both lanes at the same time."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So far as commission, so like I don't want to pay a commission? Is that it, or what was the commission one? Or?
Yeah, just, you know, I can't justify paying, you know, $12,000 commission to a listing agent.
Are you gonna discount your yourself on the commission?
No.
I mean, that's what my
Okay.
question would be on the commission objection.
You know, I can totally understand that you want to reduce the commission. Let me ask you, is it more about the commission you're gonna pay, or is it about the bottom line number that you're gonna net when we get you moved to Denver to start your job?
What about Purple Bricks? Because Purple Bricks has been all over the radio and all over the TV lately, and they say that I shouldn't do this.
They charge $3,600 and you still have to pay a buyer's agent 3%.
Yeah. Right, but how's your objection to those sorts of things?
Yep.
Because their marketing, obviously, we all heard it, and it's annoying.
Oh, yeah, all the other
And the other companies that are out there as well,
Yep.
what kind of, you know, can you give some examples of some of those objections, or how you overcome some of those?
I mean, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I mean,
Almost sounds too good to be true.
It's been
$3,600.
faced a couple times, you know, with some,
Yeah,
you know,
they're-
car wash, you
you
know,
know-
that makes all the sense, all the common sense.
Yeah, it's a funny commercial. I've seen it. It's funny. I mean, it sounds like a great deal, doesn't it? I mean, actually, these types of companies have actually been around for decades. There's companies that will put your house on the MLS for like $500 or less. But the honest truth is, even though they've been around for decades, they actually get a very, very small percentage of the market share. I mean, wouldn't you agree that with the internet and everything right now, people are pretty value conscious? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
People are going to research stuff, and they're going to do things on their own. And I mean, if they could actually offer you anything close to the same results as a full service agent like I can, I mean, don't you think they'd be getting more than just that tiny, tiny percent of the market share?
And then another thing with that, so let me just ask a question. How many agents in here have an investor that they work with, or have an investor that they can call up and say, hey, I've got a property that you need to look at, cash and carry deal? Probably everybody in this room? Okay, perfect. So, you just became Purple Bricks. You just became Open Door. You just became OfferPad. You know, and so, okay, cool. So you've seen these commercials, you've heard them on the radio, whatever. What about that model is enticing to you? Is it the convenience that you can pick your closing date and just, you know, cash and carry, you don't have people coming into your open house? If that's what they love about it, boom, I'm gonna have you a cash offer in 24 hours. I'm on the phone with my investors. You know, so if it's a convenience thing that's most important to you, I can be as convenient as you need me to be. However, if you want to maximize your investment, you know, keep in mind we're talking about a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 investment here. If you want to maximize that asset, you're not going to do it through Purple Bricks. You're not going to do it through Open Door. You know, so put it back on them. You know.
Do you ever discuss their commission strategy?
I try not to at all costs. It's not up to me to talk about the shortcomings of another company. It's only up to me to discuss my value proposition and how I can exceed their expectations. So I try to avoid that at all costs. But ultimately, you're just identifying like what's most important to them, you know. Because if truly, like, if they have to sell in, you know, they have to be out in 15 days, whatever. Like, as great as it would be for me to get that traditional listing, it's not in the seller's best interest, and so I can accommodate it. But it comes down to education and advocacy for that client. Let them know what they don't know, because they only talk about the good stuff on the radio. You know, Purple Bricks and Open Door don't tell you about all the shady backdoor stuff that they're doing. You know, so it comes down to just educating and advocating for your client and serving their best need. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, the other thing I would say that kind of goes along with the discount broker one is, you know, they could, if you were, the average agent in Arizona only sells about 2 or 3 homes a year. And if you had one house that you could sell and you could make $3,600 or $500 or whatever the discount broker is charging, I mean, would you rather sell them that house, or would you rather take that buyer and go to a listing that's offering 3% and make $9,000 selling a $300,000 house instead of $536 or whatever discount they're taking? You follow that? They'll actually make more money selling someone else's house.
Right.
So like when buyer calls come in on your house,
Who are they taking their buyers?
yeah. I don't want to take buyers to go see some if there's a house offering 2% or 2.5%, I'm like, I think that one's sold. Let's go look at these. Let's go look at these 3%. I'm kidding, but you know.
Because the one that I see out there the most right now, it's called Ribbon-Air or
Ribbon-Reed, yeah, they do a lot of FSBOs. They contact every FSBO.
Yeah, so I mean, they've been the one that I see gets the listing, the FSBO.
Yep, they have one in my neighborhood.
$500
And it's $100,000 overpriced, and it looks like crap inside.
Yeah.
It's not gonna sell.
And contact the seller.
Or are they getting buyer leads off of it to be able to load in a car and go, put another property under contract
Exactly.
for 3%?
Yeah.
You want to talk about classic bait and switch? There you go. Flat fee brokers have been doing it for years.
What do they do? What do they do?
So I put your listing on the market for, put it on the MLS, and then I got all these people calling. I know I'm not going to sell your house because it's $100,000 overpriced. You only gave me $500. I'm not going to work super hard for you for $500. But what I am going to do is I am going to take that buyer who called about your listing, I'm going to load them up in a car, and I'm going to go put them under contract with a property at 2.5%, 3% commission, bait and switch. So if you want to pay somebody good money to use your asset against you, by all means, call Help You Sell. 3K flat fee listing, whatever.
Or Congress.
Yeah. As far as testing the market, I think that goes back to motivation.
That's a condition.
It can be a condition, but I probe them and ask questions. If they're really motivated, if somebody has some sort of life event or financial event or something to where they need to move, I'd still meet with them even if they're testing the market. But if they're truly, $100,000 overpriced on Zillow in this market, then I wouldn't go.
Yeah. Protect your time.
A lot of agents won't dig deep enough and ask the questions to figure out if there is actually motivation there.
Are you pre-qualifying them before you go out, like a script, pre-qual script?
I don't use the full pre-qual script often unless it's far away or somewhere I don't want to go. What I usually do is I set up my appointments. I live in Scottsdale, and I have my southeast. I'll be in Chandler, I'll be in Gilbert, Chandler one day, and I'll go to like 3 appointments in an afternoon here. And then I'll have my North Phoenix day, and I'll go there. So if I'm in the area anyway, I'm like, well, I'll go and see what it turns into. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't drive all the way to Signal Butte at 6 o'clock on a Thursday, sit in traffic for an hour. There wasn't.
Without them being qualified.
But if I was going to be there anyway, if I have 3 appointments, I'm going to go home with 1 listing. Yeah.
So if you make an appointment in some wherever, Signal View,
Yep.
do you then go and specifically look for others in that area just to?
Sometimes I will, yeah. Sometimes I'll bring a stack of old expires or old cancels and knock on some doors around there and see if somebody's home and if they still want to sell. Old expires are great. I don't like new expires right now because of a lot of reasons. Yeah, the phone numbers that I'm getting from the service providers I'm getting are only about 30% accurate. The expired is like a whole other class. Let's stick to physical. To make me move, I treat them like a for sale by owner. I don't see any difference between a make me move and a for sale by owner on Zillow. I'll ask them the same 3 questions, and I list tons of make me moves. I think make me moves don't get as many phone calls as for sale by owners do because I think they don't make the lists that everybody subscribes to. But if you go right to Zillow and there's a phone number for make me move, I call them and treat them like a for sale by owner. And most of the time, they are. They might be further out. They might be moving in 3 months or 6 months or something, but yeah. So, how are we doing on time? What time is it?
3 minutes.
12?
57.
Okay, perfect. So we're
1, 2, 3,
going to go
break.
ahead and wrap everything up here in just a second so you guys can grab some food. Anything that we did not cover that you want to cover, an objection? I know we had a couple people that came in late after we wrote the objections on the board. Anything else before we wrap for lunch? Cool. Go get your grill on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.